Yo, what is up, everybody? You already know the deal, man. It's Joshua Khan, aka Yak. Y'all can go ahead and call me Yak. Just posting it on Instagram right now. All right. So first things first, I want to go ahead and say, God is good. Without God, none of us would be here right now, especially not your boy. Because we're going to get a little deep, a little personal today, man. You know, this has been on my mind to do for a minute, so let's get into it. I almost lost my life on 3 occasions. And we're going to go through each one in order because this has been something I haven't told many people at all. And for you guys to be here, let's get into it. So, on the first occasion, right? Yeah, we're about to get into it. On the first occasion, let me link this. All right, there we go. On the first occasion, let's rewind back to summer of 2011. Now, I was 12 years old when I had my first encounter with death. My first near encounter with death. And this took place at Venice Beach. I almost lost my life at Venice Beach. Well, I don't know if it was Venice or Manhattan or Redondo. It was one of the beaches that's here on the West Coast in California. I believe it was Venice. I'm going to just go with Venice. And this took place with me and my cousin. We called each other cousins because we grew up together. We were a year apart, and he basically saw me when he was 1 year old when he saw that I was born. You know what I'm saying? Like, we grew up tight, you know what I'm saying? So shout outs to him, man, for contributing greatly to my childhood. But we were at the beach. It was me, his family owned a daycare, and that's how we got in there. By we, I mean myself and my sisters and everybody. That's how we all got to know each other. Now, we grew up together. We grew up from being 2 years old all the way up until our teenage years. And at the beach, it was me. I was 12. He was 13. Now, keep in mind, my cousin, we'll just call him, for story's sake, we'll just call him John, right? So my cousin John he was a thrill seeker, man. This dude was fearless, and he didn't give a damn about nothing. About nothing. And here I am with me, you know, being, as I guess I can say, cautious as possible. I was the most cautious kid you can see. I don't know if you guys ever watched Ed, Edd and Eddy. He will be Eddie and I will be Double D. Let's go ahead and put it in those terms. Double D was timid. He was always cautious, always was thinking about how parents would react to what they're doing, always thinking about how, you know, things could be turned for the worse. And that was me as a kid in my early adolescence. But he was like Eddie. This dude, man, my cousin John would, and we're saying it for the sake of this video. His name isn't really John, but for the sake of the video, his name is John. So John would just be willing to do any and everything. Look, this dude would be leaving the house, being out late at night with friends that he just met, like literally just met, just being out with them and, you know, just doing his own thing. But I loved it. You know, I loved it. It was like a complete opposite of how I was raised. I was raised being inside the house all day because, you know, we didn't live in the best neighborhoods. And, you know, my mom and dad would make sure that we didn't go out and do anything that we wasn't really supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, shout outs to my parents, man. They most definitely made sure that we were on the right track, right? So, going back to the story, yeah, my cousin was a daredevil. This dude was wild. This dude was freaking wild. And this guy, man, we were at the beach, and his mom was out went all the way back to the car, and it was just me and him. You know, in the ocean, getting our feet, you know, a little wet by the ocean out here in California, Southern California. And he seen that his mom was gone. He was like, "Oh, she's not here." And he told me, "Hey, yo, look, I want to go deeper out. Like that's where it's really fun. You know, you can, the waves are bigger, and you just jump with them, and you be chilling." And I was like, "Okay, all right." He was like, "Come on, I trust you." I was like, "Okay, all right, man, let's go." We walk out like about, I'll say, from where the beach. You know how the water, how this is like the beach, and then the water lands here, and then it comes back. Like, all right, so let's say we're right here. We end up walking about another 10 feet out. So now the water, I'm about 12 years old, right? The water is coming up to my waist, like a little bit above my waist. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like this is, I see what you're talking about, cousin. I see what you're talking about, cousin. So then, you know, I'm chilling. I'm in my comfort zone. I'm chilling. I'm like, yeah, all right, look, this is straight, man. This is straight. So it was like, you know, this isn't good. This isn't fun enough. You know, the waves was hitting, but it was fun for me. It wasn't fun for him, I guess. So then he was like, nah, like, let's go just a little bit out further. And I'm like, all right. So then we went further. Now, this is where the waves were hitting. You know, the water was about like right here. And when the waves came, it's like you got to jump with it so it don't get, you know, into your mouth. Your neck kind of be above it. So this is like where I was maxed out. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. Look, I'm chilling here. And then he was like, yo, like, well, you know, was jumping with the waves. It was, you know, having a good time. And then he looked back, seeing his mom still wasn't there. I looked back too, and she wasn't there. And he was like, nah, come on, like, let's go just a little bit further. Now I didn't know how to swim at all. At this time, I did not know how to swim at all. And he did. So he was like, yeah, like, nah, let's go just a little bit further, like to where you start floating. I was like, nah, bro, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, he was like, nah, come on, trust me, I got you. And I was like, bro, I'm not going. He said, bro, I got you, come on. So he came back, and I was like, all right, bet, let's do it. So I grabbed my hand, and as we walking out closer, keep in mind, I'm 12 years old, he's 13, walking out. So now my feet, like, you know, the waves is like, you know, coming up to right here now. Like, I'm over here, you know, like, oh, so whatever noise that was. So I'm like, oh snap. So I'm kind of floating, and then we see, you know, the further you out, like the waves is just like, you know, it's like that. It's like a wave. It's not nothing like it's not a crashing wave. It's just like that. So we hit a couple of those. We jump with it, like we kind of swim up with it as it does that. So our head is like above the wave as it comes. We, you know. So one of them go by, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm done. And then next thing you know, I see him even further out. So I'm more concerned about him because I'm like, I know he knows how to swim, but nobody's around. So let me go ahead and turn around. And as I'm turning around, I swim out just a little bit further out, like back to the beach. And as I turn around, I see a big wave coming, like a huge one, like an actual one that's coming over to crash. So I'm like, oh, like I'm thinking I'm dead. I'm done. So I'm decided to come back, and I was like, yo, come on. I'm swimming back and telling him, come on. So he gets smacked by the wave. He couldn't even hear me say, like, yo, come on. He got smacked by the wave. He's underwater at this point. So now I'm scared because now he doesn't know that I'm about to get hit. And I know I'm about to get hit. And his mom and nobody sees what we're doing. Freaking ridiculous. So then I see the wave coming. So then I tried to, like, my feet was able to touch the sand a little bit. So then I kind of jump up. But the wave was so big, and it was already crashing over. Like, you know, when it crashes over, you see the white, like the white foamy part of the ocean was already coming. So I get hit hard. Bam. I jump up just like that. Hard as heck. It hit me so hard that I flip upside down underwater in the ocean. And I can, you know, I'm getting disoriented. I didn't know where I was, what was going on. And plus, I didn't know how to swim. So I got hit so hard by that wave, like it made my ear ring. And as I'm underground or under the water, my head was like grazing the ground. And I didn't know, you know, I'm like, I thought I was dead. I thought it was over. But luckily, by the grace of God, I was able to feel the ground, like my head was grazing the sand of the ground. And I was able to use my hand like this. And I was able to touch the ground and kind of push myself up. So it let me know where I was. I knew I was completely upside down. So I was able to push up and like flip myself back up to where I was able to, you know, get better footing. But I'm sideways now. So I'm thinking I'm completely upright, but I'm sideways now. And I'm like drinking in the ocean water. It's salty. It's nasty. Just the thought about it is making me want to throw up right now. But I'm inhaling all of this water through my mouth and through my nose. So I start panicking even more. So I'm like going crazy. So I'm still sideways, but then I was able to like, I I was going so crazy. I was able to feel the air with this hand. So like my hand, I'm still sideways, so I'm able to feel the air, and I'm able to feel that, you know, this is where the air is, you know what I'm saying? So as I'm doing, I'm panicking, I'm pushing up, and I come up out of the water. You know, I'm over here throwing up because my feet is now touching the sand. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm walking, and I'm like throwing up, and I'm like throwing up and coughing up all that nasty, salty dirt water. And then I look back, and my cousin, I'm freaking pissed. Like, I have tears in my eyes. I'm crying, throwing up, because I'm like, yo, I really almost died. Like, it was literally the grace of God that I didn't die that day. And I look back, and I see my cousin swim back, smiling. He was like, yo, what happened? I thought you was with me. What happened? I'm over here crying, throwing up, pissed off. And I get back to the beach, and then now I see his mom walking back with him and her and her sister. And they're asking like, yo, is everything okay? Like, what happened? And I didn't even want to say anything. I didn't want to be a snitch, but I did say that, yeah, I was in the water. Like, but what I really wanted to say is like, yeah, nah, like he had me going out with him in the water when y'all was gone. But, you know, I didn't want to be a snitch. I was like, nah, I was just in the water. I fell upside down in the water. And then again, I had looked, and I seen that I had a cut on the side of my head. It was like bleeding. And she was like, you're bleeding. So I guess when I was upside down, I grazed my head on a rock. Thank the Lord it wasn't a big rock and a big wave, because I would have been knocked unconscious, been dead, been done at the age of 12, easy. Just because I was falling under peer pressure, bro. So, you know, I'm sitting there, I got a towel wrapped around me, I'm shaking now. It's I remember that day so vividly. It was overcast that day. It was cloudy, but it was still kind of hot. And you know, I'm shivering because it's like I guess I was so shaken up by almost losing my life and like bleeding. And you know, he came up to me, he started laughing. He was like, yo, man, you good? I was so pissed off, man. But, you know, I was trying to keep a G because he was like my older cousin. And I was like, I'm straight. I was like, I'm okay. You know, but I'm not getting in the water anymore. He's like, come on, man. Don't be you know, one of those type people. Like, don't be a punk. Like, come on, bro. I was like, I'm done. So I had sand all in my face, sand all in my mouth, and it was just a bad experience. So by the grace of God, I survived that. Being flipped upside down in the water, not knowing how to swim without any help. But from the grace of God, I was able to save myself by flipping over. So that was the first occasion. This was a minor occasion. But it was one time that close experience with death allowed me to really realize how important life is. So moral of that story is, do not fall under peer pressure. If you know your limits, especially when it comes to life and death situations, you know your limits. Don't be peer pressured into it, especially if somebody say they got you and they don't got you, for real. Don't do that. And secondly, always just look, it was by the grace of God. Always have faith, man. Like, always look for, if you are in a sticky situation, always know that there is a way out of that sticky situation, and have faith that it will work out, and find ways to make it work out. Because with me, if I wasn't oriented enough to realize I was upside down, or it wasn't trying to save my own life, then I would have been done. If I would have just gave up, I would have been done underwater. I wouldn't have even found a way to flip myself over. So those are the two morals of that story. And that was the first encounter I had with death at the early age of 12. Now, the second encounter. Now this one was a light one. This was like one that was, it could have been, I was at the wrong place, but it wasn't the wrong time for this one. Again, I was with my cousin. This was like a year or two later. I believe I was 13, 14. I think he was 15. And, you know, my cousin is, I'm going to just call him John for the sake of this video. My cousin, John, he was hanging around the wrong crowd. You know, I mean, we grew up together. We were playing video games all our adolescence, from the age of like 6 all the way up until we hit the age of our teens, right? So as we're in our teenage phase, hitting high school, you know, he starts getting in the mix with the wrong crowds. And with me, you know, I was such a homebody that I, you know, didn't really go out much. So when he was always out, and I was basically always in when we're, you know, separated. When we're together, he would go out, and I love being out. You know, I love the outside. I love being outside, but it was just he was around the wrong crowd. So on this occasion, now this is going to be 2 in 1. On this occasion, now this is 2013. This is actually 2013. And this was, I was like 13 years old. He was like 15. And we were home, and we're chilling, playing games the whole day, chilling. It's how it always starts. You're chilling at the crib, playing games, and the next thing you know, he gets a hit up from one of his friends, like, "Yo, hey, look, we about to be going out to the mall today, and let's go see a movie." That's how they framed it, right? Let's go see a movie. About to hang out with the homies. He was like, "All right, bet. What time?" So the time to meet up was 7:30. So it's like 5 o'clock right now. He lets me know. He's like, "Yeah, hey, look, you trying to go out tonight?" I was like, "Not really. Like, I want to chill. Like, we've been chilling all day." He's like, "Come on, man. Like, this is always how it happens. Come on, man. Like, it's gonna be fun. Like, I'm gonna be out. Let's just go out. We've been inside all day." He was telling me, "We've been inside all day playing games, bro. All you want to do is play games. All you want to do is do this." I'm like, of course, I get peer pressured, and I'm like, "All right, bet. Let's go for it." So 7:30 or 7 o'clock hits, we're getting ready, and then he gets a call. "Oh yeah, could y'all meet me at the mall?" Man, bro, I'll tell you, we got there around like 7:40, 7:50 ish, a little before 8. Man, he said we was gonna be hanging out with just a little bit of homies, bro. They were rolling like 30 deep, 30 deep, bro. 30 teenage black kids in the city of Inglewood back then, rolling 30 deep, all between the ages. I was the youngest person, bro, by the way. I was 13, but from the ages of 13 all the way into 19, just 30 deep. bro bro So with this, oh my goodness, man. So you know we kind of split off into groups. Some were at the mall. And this was at we call it, well, they call it now the Westfield Culver City Mall. This is in Culver City. From Inglewood to Culver City, it's like neck and neck right there. And at the Westfield Culver City Mall, it was like about 18 to 20 of them just inside the mall, just hanging out, looking like, young black teens. And we're already getting stereotyped, right? So we're outside of the mall, me, my cousin, and I think like three others. We're outside the mall. We met up with three others. Me and my cousin, my other cousin, had met up with three others, and with them, it was nighttime, like it's completely sunset. This is summer. So as we meet up, there was us three just chatting, talking, and some dude came up. Some dude, he was like drugged out. My boy, he had dreads, tattoos all over his face. You know what I'm saying? Tank top on, and then he had it's kind of like a blazer like this, and he had on some jeans, some all black pants. So he put up on us. He was like, "Hey yo, where y'all from? Like, what y'all doing around here? Where y'all from?" And then my cousin was laughing. "Hey, yeah, we don't bang, man." He was like, "Yeah, all right, all right," kind of turning up a little bit, but he kind of toned down when my cousin said that, "Yeah, we don't bang." So then he was like, "Yeah, all right, cause I had that thing." So he put out his strap. I'm gonna just say gun, bro. Look, YouTube, if you want to strike me, look, this is what it is. I don't care. He put out his gun. So he's flaring his gun out. He's like, "Yeah, man, because man, I was gonna take y'all down. Like, if y'all was from the opposite hood, like we would have been scrapping. But I got, it's just going crazy." So he's like waving his gun, but my cousin, he was like, "Hey, bro, chill. Like, we ain't bang, but can I?" Like, he was like, "Can I see it?" So we got up closer, and I'm like kind of stepping back, but that was like going up. He was like, "Man, I don't be showing y'all kids none of that." Just kind of going crazy, waving the gun around. And wrong place, but not the wrong time. Thank the Lord. This is why I said that earlier. Is that him waving the gun around, and everybody just like chilling. If that safety was off, and if he would have put it off, and with me, being the most timid person, it always happens to the most timid person. Then that was an instance where I was pretty close to death if it was if it would have let off. But that happened, and after about like 10 minutes of conversation, just sitting there, I'm telling my cousin, "Hey, bro, like, I'm tapping him like, bro, let's go. Like, I'm not feeling comfortable, man." He was like, "Man, like, if you want to go, you could go." Basically saying if I want to walk all the way back to the house, which was a crazy walk at nighttime, then I could have done it. And I was like, "Man, bro, look, I'm about to go inside the mall." I told him. So I ended up going from around that corner, which was like a block or two away. I ended up walking into the mall. So I walk into the mall, and I see that it's like 20 other dudes, and it was like two of them that I knew. One of them from high school, and one of them was a friend of my cousin's. So I walked up, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" Just like seeing what's cool. and said what's up to them, and then they started walking throughout the mall. But they was looking for problems. Like, they was looking for other people from other schools that we had opposed each other to like press people, and let them know like, yo, look, whatever. I don't know. They were trying to fight him or whatever. So I start seeing things escalate and tensions escalate. So then eventually, I believe it was about like 15 minutes later, we end up hearing that there's a fight happening outside. And one of the people from the group ended up getting a phone call like, yeah, well, I almost said her name, saying like, yeah, homegirl, she out there scrapping with homegirl. And it was like, oh snap. So then we ended up running outside the mall, and then from that point, the police that was patrolling inside the mall start following us. So we run outside, and we see outside of the pizza place that it was two of the homegirls was like getting down, like scrapping, like smacking into the doors, into the windows, and moving, like smacking chairs out around as they're scrapping. So they start scrapping. So then the boyfriends of each one start trying to break it up. But one of the boyfriends of one of the homegirls was like, don't be touching my girl like that, and they start escalating. So then they start scrapping. So now it's starting to turn into this whole brawl of people trying to break it up, workers trying to break it up, the girls and guys fighting now. And then we end up seeing a cop car pull up. So the cop car pulls up, and the people that weren't involved, like me and my other cousins, we start running real fast. We start getting on, and they couldn't catch all of us. It was only like 2-3 cops. They couldn't catch all of us, but they did catch some. So we ran all the way under the underpass of the freeway that's over there too. If y'all know, y'all know. If y'all go to the Westfield, Culver City, y'all know exactly where that is. It happened all right there. Ran all the way over there, kind of hit it out, and we saw it all go down. They arrested the girls that was fighting. They ended up arresting the dudes that was fighting. So then, as they were, those 3 cops were arresting them. I ended up walking back around where I was with my cousin before to see if he was still there. So as I'm walking, I see that there is a gym right there, and one of the other homies that we had left with ended up he was inside that gym. So I walk in there, and he's over there flirting with the person flirting with the girl at the cashier that was there. He was real young, she was older, and it wasn't where he working, but he was trying to still get at it. So then I ended up tapping him like, hey bro, like it's time to go. He was like, bro, like you see what I'm doing, like get out of here. I got pissed off. I'm like, hey yo, look man, if you want to, I'm trying to give you a warning. If you're trying to do what you got to do, I'm just letting you know the cops is here, bro. It's time to dip. So then I walk out, but then the cop walks in as I walk out. So then the cop ended up pressing the guy who I talked to. He was a little older. So then he ended up asking him like, yeah, are you with that group? And he ended up saying yeah, because he didn't know what was going on, and I was trying to warn him. So then he was like, yeah, I was with that group. So then they ended up finding him for like $1,300 for the damages or whatever on behalf of them, because he was the oldest person. And as I'm walking out, I see my other cousin. I had like 2-3 cousins that was with us. I see my other cousin, and I start telling him like, yeah, man, like where's John? Where's John at? And he was like, I think he was over there. So as I'm talking to him, homeboy come out of the gym, the one I was talking to, and he come out pissed, come out hot. So I'm like, what is he mad for? And he started coming to me, ready to fight me. So I'm like, what are you like? I'm like, what's going on? He was like, man, you got me a ticket. And keep in mind, this dude, he was about like pushing like 6 feet. He was an MMA fighter too. He was like, man, you got me a ticket. I'm about to whoop your ass. And I'm like, bro, what? And me, I'm the person that I didn't want to be there in the first place. I did not want to be there at all. So now I'm about to get into a fight with somebody who I didn't even really know that much, and who I was trying to warn. And then after that, my other cousin called. My other cousin pulled up. John, he pulled up, and he seen that bro was getting hot, taking off his shirt, like ready to fight. And he was like holding him off. He's like, bro, chill. Like he didn't do nothing. He was like, yeah, he did. He got me a ticket. And he was like, how did he get you a ticket? He said he brought a cop in. He snitched on me. So I'm like, that's what you like. We start getting into it. I'm like, is that what you really? I'm just trying to warn you, bro. He's like, nah, I need to whoop your ass right now. So my cousin's laughing. He's de-escalating the situation. So as he de-escalating the situation, I'm walking away, and that whole night was just ridiculous, man. He ended up the dude who got fined with the ticket had to end up telling his mom. His mom had to pay that $1,300 ticket, and that was a lot at the time. This was like 2013, man. That was before bro, like that was expensive at the time. Even $1,300 right now, it's kind of like, sheesh, the ticket's crazy. So I ended up walking away. I ended up de-escalating the situation. And then at the end of that whole night, we didn't even get home until like 11, 12. Keep in mind, we was out there at 8:30 or 8 o'clock. And man, that was so. All that to say, that was a full story as to when we got a gun flash in front of our faces, in front of this dude who we did not know, who was banging, saying if it was of the opposite sex, he would have shot us. Stupid, completely stupid, man. So moral of this story, again, peer pressure. Secondly is make sure that you with the right crowd, man. If your instincts is tell you one thing, listen to that thing. Don't listen to anything else. Listen to your instincts all the way through, man. Luckily nothing happened, but if I would listen to my instincts, I would have had experience in none of that. Luckily, yeah, that night was a ridiculous night, man. So yeah, that was more of the story, and that's when I got a gun waved in front of my face for the first time. And when I told my mom the story, she was pissed, bro. Like, she was so pissed. She was hot. Oh my gosh. So that was that story. Another a follow up to that same story when I got a gun pulled out on me. It was from a cop, and it was me and my little sister that was in the middle of the crossfire. I said this in one of my other lives before, but in this story, it was after school. My dad picked me up from school, and we were waiting on my sister. We went to the same high school. I was in 9th grade, and he already picked up my younger sister, who was in the back seat of right behind the passenger. And I was in the back seat right behind my dad. So we were waiting on my sister to get out. She always got out late. Like she was always late coming out. So as we're waiting for my sister, I see because we're parked on the sidewalk, right? We're parked right here. The sidewalk is right here. My little sister's closer to the sidewalk with her door open because it was hot and the windows didn't roll down on that car. Now I'm behind my dad, right here with my window rolled down. So as we're parked, my little sister's door is open, and I see a guy who had like bags. It was a guy on a bike, and he had bags on him, a bag on his bike and a bag on his backpack, and, a backpack on. So he was rolling up. He creeped up, and then he had stopped like right in front of us. So then we had seen that, and I was thinking like, okay, why is my little sister's door open at this point? Like anybody could come in. So then next thing you know, I heard somebody say stop right there, and then I look over out the window. My window's open. I see a gun being pointed right at me from a cop. There's a cop. There's two cops inside the cop car. It starts rolling up, and there's a cop driving. There's another cop, another black cop that was right there too, in the passenger seat, aiming his gun out the freaking window past me to aim at the guy that's across from us. Bro, it's safety 101, bro. Like, you're not supposed to point your gun like that, especially if there's civilians, as of myself and my little sister and my dad in between. Like, that is the most dumbest thing you can do. So he's aiming the gun out, aiming at homeboy, but me and my little sister and my dad is like in the middle of the crossfire as the biker is going this way and as the cop is right here. So I'm looking down his barrel. I'm over here shook, and I'm just seeing him pass by. So as the cop and the biker go past where our car was to the next, I guess, car, I end up reaching over and closing my little sister's door, because I'm like, okay, if he's being aimed at by another cop over here, God forbid he runs back this way and like uses us as hostages or whatever, or another one of his homies that's right behind him come in and try to hop in our car, or what, you never know. So I close the door. My dad gets pissed. I close it, and bam. So I'm guessing that with him being like startled, not knowing what to do, kind of being shook, he ended up getting pissed off, yelling at me, why the hell would you close that door right now? Blah, 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 going off. I'm like, man, I'm trying to close the door because my little sister's door was open. Why would I not close the door? So he's pissed off at me, but lo and behold, I did the right thing. And yeah, that was another story when a gun was aimed at me from a freaking cop, bro, from a cop. I'm in between the crossfire. If something would have let off, ears would have been ringing. If I didn't get hit, and if I got hit, I would have been done. Freaking stupid. Cops, man. Now this was the year. This was actually the same year. This was 2013. Yeah, I was in freshman year. Freaking ridiculous, man. So I had two near death encounters when I was 13 in 2013. Bro, stupid. But those is light ones. Those is light ones, man. I'm not really gonna consider them, but those were, closer to death encounters than before. Now that I would say the moral of that story, man, is I don't even have a moral to that story, to be honest, because it was just a crap situation, man. Like it's something that you can't really avoid. We're getting picked up from school, bro. Like it makes no sense. Like come on now. So I'm able to smile at these moments now because I'm like, man, like thank the Lord, we're in a completely better spot than where we was before. Like all these elements were things that were completely out of our control, which things still are out of our control. But it's like, man, bro, like that was bad. That was bad. Um, yeah, moral of that story is just, bro, just make sure your doors is closed, cause so your dad don't get mad at you for closing the door. Yeah, that was that story. Now back to the real stories of when I almost had a near death experience. Now this one was a recent one. Uh, this was when I was in college. Now this was probably the most. This was the most scary. How do I say it? This encounter was the most frightening encounter that I had with death because this was a spiritual one. This was a spiritual and a physical one. Look, all right. So throughout high school, I used to on occasions. I never bought it, but I used to smoke, and I used to smoke, that magic leaf. You know what I'm saying? I used to smoke that magic leaf, and it was always around. It was always around on campus, and homeboys had it. So I'm just like, look, might as well do it. I have Jamaican blood in me, and I was arrogant. I'm like, yeah, I'm Jamaican, man. Like this is what we do in Jamaica. Acting like having that whole stupid old thought process that I had, immature. So I used to smoke. It would probably be like once a month, whenever homies would have it. I would do it on occasion, but I would never buy it to do it myself. I never did that ever. But so throughout high school, I would do it occasionally. It was just something to do, something to chat it up with people and ditch and do it when you had a class that you didn't care about. And I mean, I do not recommend this. Glorifying. I'm not glorifying this at all. It was just my experience, and I highly recommend not to do it because after the story, you're gonna learn to not do it. So don't do it. Anyways, fast forward to college now. This is my sophomore year of college. I went to Cal State Northridge. Everybody knows that. If you didn't know it, now you know. Went to Cal State Northridge. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Went to Cal State Northridge, and this was my sophomore year, and I was a mentor for oncoming students. Now, I'm not gonna say when and where, but after the program was over, the semester started. And once the semester started, like then that's all the people I was mentoring, we became friends, right? So one of my friends ended up getting a little pipe, you know what I'm saying? Like probably like about that big, stuffed it with some stuff, and went to his dorm, went on his balcony on the third floor, and we started chafing it, you know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, goodness, we started engaging. Now I want to keep it as clean as possible, mainly because I don't know how YouTube reacts to these things yet. Still new. So we started indulging in the festivities. It sounds so corny. Oh my gosh. We started smoking, bro. We started smoking. Now we're inside the dorm of this other guy who I didn't really know. This Caucasian guy. And since I had experience with smoking before, I was like, yeah, I mean, I do this all the time, like, but I always smoked blunts. I never smoked from a pipe like that before. And as we're on the third floor, keep in mind, I had nothing to eat that whole entire day except for a sugary lemon cake that I ate like literally 5-10 minutes before we started smoking, bro. Oh my gosh, it was the dumbest mistake I ever made. So smoking from a pipe, you get a lot more smoke from it than a blunt. So we're passing it around. We're on the balcony passing it around. I'm taking big hits because I'm like I'm Jamaican. All this foolishness, right? So as we smoke it all out, we end up chilling. They're playing. I think Dragon Ball Xenoverse just came out at the time, so they're starting to play Dragon Ball Xenoverse. This is like 2017, and we start chilling. So then I started getting like chills. I started shivering. I'm like, is anybody else cold? I'm looking over. I see that the door is now closed. The sliding door from the balcony is now closed. And I'm like, is anybody else cold? And I was like, yeah, the AC is on. I could turn it off. I turned it off, and I'm still shivering. This is like 5 minutes later. I start shivering like profusely, like super shaking. I was like, you got a blanket? He gave me a blanket. And then right then and there, I start getting extremely hot, as if I'm like outside in 110-degree weather. So then I start sweating, and I'm like, yo, like, are y'all hot? That was like, yo, I just turned off the AC. Like, how are you now? How are you so hot now? And I was like, I don't know, man. So I started like getting up, started pacing because I started feeling my heart racing a lot. Like it started racing, bro. Like do 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 do. So I'm like, yo, oh yeah, now something's wrong. So then all of us are high. So then they start, kind of panicking a little bit, but they was trying to say like, nah, you're good, bro. Like chill. And I was like, nah, I'm trying to chill. Like I can't sit in one place. So I'll do heart's pumping fast. Do. So I'm like, okay, look, I need for one of y'all to feel my heart. Do y'all feel anything? My heart is racing. I can feel it. And they do it. They're like, nah, bro, you good. So that started making me panic even more. I started now having a panic attack because now I'm thinking that like, nah, maybe I'm going insane now. So then them telling me no, them lying because they didn't want to get in trouble, because they're not supposed to be smoking in dorms at all. They'll get kicked out immediately. So I'm out of luck. I'm complete out of luck. Can't call. They didn't want to call the ambulance, or anything. So I was like, nah, like I really feel my heart racing. I need for y'all to let me know the truth. And then he put his ear to my heart. Now I know he felt it racing. He was like, nah, bro, you good, you good. And I was like, okay, well, let me go lay down. Maybe laying down will slow down my heart rate because, when you lay down, you breathe, typically your heart rate slow down. So I'll start laying down. So now I'll start having severe heat flashes and severe cold. So when I get hot, I start sweating. But when I get cold, I'm like shivering, needing a blanket. So then my head starts spinning. So then I'm like running around the whole entire house. I'm like, nah, bro, pacing around because like my heart is racing. I couldn't calm down after like 5 minutes of laying down. And start pacing around. So I started looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like touching myself. I'm like slapping myself because I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any physical contact except for just hot and cold. So then I decided, I was like, okay, now like I need to run the bath water. So I got in this tub. I start stripping down, getting in the tub, and then I started turning on the shower. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? And because I had the door open because I didn't want them to, if in case I needed them to help me out, So I'm getting in the bathtub, and I was like, "What you doing?" Like, "Nah, bro, get out the bathtub. You're good." So then I was like, "All right." Like I was like, "Close the door." So I closed the door, put on my clothes, came out, and I started really panicking because now I started to see stuff. I literally started seeing stuff floating around. So I'm like, okay, no, let me lay down and let me close my eyes. So I laid down flat on the floor, face to the ground, closing my eyes, bro. I'm like, yo, so I started praying because I started literally seeing stuff flying around. I don't know what it was. It was like dark figures flying around, bro. So then, I closed my eyes, started laying down, and I started seeing red like pulsating. So then I started praying out loud. I'm like, yo, God, I don't know what's going on, but please let me get through this. And I'll vow to never do this again. And then it started getting worse. So then I started crying. So I'm like crying now. I'm still having heat flashes. They still telling me I'm good. I'm like, nah, y'all need to call 911. They didn't want to call 911. And I was about to call 911, but as I'm picking up my phone, I could not remember my passcode because I'm high as a kite. And then I start seeing like what is it called? It's like when you start seeing mirror projections of that. Like I'm trying to tap, but I can't really find where to tap. So I'm like completely panicking. I'm completely panicked out at this moment. So now I decided to lay down. So then you end up using Siri. I end up saying like, "Hey Siri, like, can you call my brother? I live with my brother for my first and second year, and this moment was what had me get kicked out of his house. So I'm calling him like, yo, I'm not good. Like, I need you to come pick me up. He was like, yo, what's up? Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I need you to come pick me up. I didn't want to tell him I was smoking, but eventually I had to tell him. And I was like, he's like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? I was like, I end up smoking, and now I'm like tripping out. So then he was like, bro, like, he was like, man, I'm on my way. He was pissed off at me. He was pissed. Honestly, man, he was pissed at me for a while. So then he ended up telling me he was on his way, and I told him what dorm I was at. So he's on his way. He's like 10 minutes out. So then my body, I started losing control of my physical body. Like, I could not control it. Like, I started pacing around, but I couldn't stop myself. I had no control over my body. So I started pacing around, and then only thing I was able to do was talk. The only thing I was able to do was consciously talk. I had no control over my body. My body was trying to jump out of the balcony because the pain was so much. The hot flashes, the cold flashes, seeing stuff, eyes burning, mouth is dry. And I kept trying to tell him like, yo, I need for y'all to close that sliding door and lock it. My body's trying to jump out of the building. I have no control over my body. So then one of my boys like gave me a bear hug, so I didn't, because I was pacing so uncontrollably that he had to give me a bear hug. And the other dude who we smoked with, who I didn't know, ended up closing the sliding door and locking it. And I was like, bro, I need you to stand there and guard it. So he was like, standing there. He's just like, yo, like, what is going on? I'm like, bro, if y'all don't call the cops, I'm telling you, I'm something's bad about to happen. I feel like I'm about to die. And I was, my heart rate was like pushing it, man, pushing it. And they kept lying, telling me I'm straight, which kept making me feel like I was even more crazy than what I was. So I'm over here getting pissed off at this point. I'm having so many emotions, so I start praying out loud. I'm like, yo, God, I'm telling you, if you get me through this, I swear to you, I would never do this again. I would, this may sound stupid, but I was like, I would cut off all ties with any girl I'm talking to that's not serious. I just want to be of you. So, eventually my brother ended up coming, and I was starting to kind of calm down and get more control over my body. And he ended up calling me back and saying I'm here. I was like, yo, I told him, I was like, I need y'all to walk me down. I need y'all to carry me if y'all have to. I still feel weird, like I'm dizzy, eyes burning, mouth is like cotton mouth, and still having heat and cold flashes. So then they walked me out, and then my brother is pissed off at them, and more so pissed off at me. So he's like, yo, what the fuck y'all doing? And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, we end up smoking, and he ended up, something ended up happening with him, and we don't know what happened. He was like, was it Lace? Pressing the other guy who I didn't know, pressing them. And it was like, nah, it wasn't Lace. Like, I don't know what happened, because we're good. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Just take me to the crib. And then on the way, I was able to start calming down, because he felt my heart, and he was like, bro, your heart is going crazy. Like, it is beating fast. So then that allowed me to start calming down, like, okay, I'm not tripping. I'm not having these illusions. Because that was lying to me, saying my heart was not pacing fast at all, because they didn't want to call the ambulance and get in trouble. So I'm able to calm down and talk to him. And then we started talking, and he ended up telling me, he was like, yeah, like that whole experience, bro, like once I got in, he was like, bro, you could have really died. For one. For two, that sounds like a possession, like somebody possessed you, or some spirit possessed you, because for you to want to have to jump out the window and not have control of your body, that's a possession. So I'm like, oh my god. So I start, it took me, I would have, from that moment, going back to the house, I was just balling out, man. I was just balling out. And I started to realize, like, yo, like, not only could I have died, but I was also possessed by whatever the hell that was. Like, I had no control over my body. And hold on one second. Hello? Give me like 2 more minutes. I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm still live. Okay. My bad, y'all. Wife was calling back to back. Thought it was an emergency. But, as as I'm in bed, I started like, started coming to terms that like, yo, that was a real experience. Like all that actually happened. Like, I'm embarrassed. I stripped down naked in front of these dudes that I barely even knew, hopping in the tub so I could, cool myself down. And I'm over here like my brother now know that I had smoked, and now I haven't smoked, and that's the thing. I haven't ate the whole day, and I haven't smoked nothing in like almost a full year. So I'm over here like embarrassed that for that situation. My brother's now mad at me. I know he's about to kick me the hell out, and I'm over here like tripping even harder because I could have lost my life that day. Like I literally could. I had no control over myself. I wanted to hop off, and so I could end the pain. It was that bad. So lo and behold, turns out that I OD'd, or I came close to overdosing, and I was also possessed spiritually. Coming to God, like spiritually, I was possessed by some type of entity that was trying to take control over my body. And they were coming hard, man. They were trying to come hard, bro. Pause. But that was a very serious situation, and for the next 2 years onwards, like things would trigger me to start having these panic attacks, to where if I see somebody else panicking, then it would bring me back to that moment to where I'll start panicking too. Oh my gosh, it was such a bad experience. It took me about 2 years to be able to control that, and in between that 2 years, I think it was sophomore year, then going into junior year, when I had roommates, they didn't smoke. Well, they did smoke, but they didn't smoke like that. When they, I'll hang around and I was like, you want some? I'll always turn it down because I know that I end up making a covenant with God from that moment, telling him that if you get me out of the situation, I would never do it again. I would never smoke again in my life. And I will vow to not be around, so many, I will stop dating so much. I'll date to be serious. Which soon after I ended up meeting my wife, and, we end up still in a relationship, thank the Lord. So shout outs to that. But in between that time, if I smelt weed, if I smelt it, and if it got in my lungs, then about like 5 minutes later I start having like these weird panic attacks. Like stuff like that will start triggering those panic attacks. So then fast forward like 2 years later, my roommate ended up having some edibles, and I just wanted to test it. I just wanted to test it to see if that's like, okay, is that something that is marijuana, something that, if I ingested, would it cause that to happen again? So I took the smallest piece, bro. The smallest piece of that edible, bro. Like literally, it was, it was a gummy bear, but I took like a small piece. So I ate the gummy bear. This was 2 years later. This was 2019. And, we're chilling. Me and my roommate, we was chilling. We was inside the same room, and we'll play Xbox together. We'll play Black Ops. No, it was Modern Warfare that came out 2019. Was playing that. And after I took the edible, like we're playing it, and then 10 minutes later, I laid down because I'm like, I can't focus no more. But then, I start having these thoughts to take myself out. After that, I'll start looking at the electrical socket, and I'll see a pin, and I'll just like I'll get too curious. So I'll like want to, take that pin, or no, it was a fork. It was a fork because I remember we was eating. He had brought some food. He was eating. It was a metal fork, and I'm like, well, what happened if I, do that? So I have these thoughts on, subconsciously taking myself out. It was so weird off that one little edible. So I realized, bro, like, years later, like fast forwarding to a couple years ago from those moments, that these drugs are gateway drugs for spiritually, talking on the spiritual level now, that these drugs are gateway drugs in order for demonic entities or entities that are trying to take over you to take control of your body. Because, when you're high, you're not like, your spirit is like kind of somewhere else. It's not really here. So it allows for something else to enter. So, having these moments, it's like, and learning about that, it made me realize, like, okay, I'm gonna stay away from all this foolishness. Like, I know I said that I wasn't gonna smoke, and I took a piece of an edible. Still, I had those same type feelings, those same type thoughts, making me realize, like, okay, it's not just the smoking. It's the whole entire drug. Like, so I've been sober for 6 years, over 6 years now, about to go on 7 years. So, yeah, claps to that. And I don't drink too. Well, I mean, I sip a little bit. I might take some wine or sip, some Stella Rosa or whatever is around, just so I could, join the festivities, champagne, just sip it and then just put it away. I don't drink. I don't like drink at all because I don't know what the hell could happen if I indulge fully in it like how I did in the past. I don't know what type of effect it's gonna have on me. Having just that small little piece of edible, bro. Like that small little piece of edible. Like I don't know what's gonna happen if I drink. I don't know what's gonna happen if. So I just stay away from it all. So I don't do any drugs, bro. No drugs for me at all. Cause those experiences, man, I won't wish that on my worst enemy at all. That is the most craziest thing ever. So thank the Lord, in those moments, I ended up reading the Bible heavily. I got into the Bible heavily about 2 years ago, man. And reading it, the Bible is really just like, stories and information from people in the past, like past human history, that teaches you lessons that are so timeless that you can implement in your day-to-day life no matter what time you're in. So come to realize that these things that I'm indulging in was things that were trying to get me, of these spiritual entities trying to take over my body. So having read and actually read up on exactly what was going on made me realize, like, I don't need to be ingesting anything. I don't need to ingest anything that don't need to be in my body. It's all poison. It's all poison. So, oh man. So that was just moral of the story of that one, man, is look, for one, don't indulge in anything that you don't need to be indulging in. For two, listen to your spirit, bro. Listen to your instincts, listen to your spirit, whatever you want to call it. Listen to that, because I was doing this for the wrong reason. My spirit was like, yo, like, don't put this in your body. My body was like, look, we just chilling. We just hanging out, man. It's just me and my boys. Like, we just gonna chill, do this, and be going to the next day. Bro, listen to your instincts and your spirit, bro, straight up. Thirdly, if you're confused about anything, if things seem weird, like, I didn't end up reading scriptures until well later, like 4 years later after that. No, 3 years after that experience. And from that, I learned so much about what that experience really was. It was a spiritual entity trying to take over my body while I'm high, while my spirit is, cruising around, chilling, and my body is just slumped. Something entered my body trying to take over, to have me try to take myself out. It reminds me of that film, with that actress from Jessie. It's gonna bother me, man. Dang. It was on Netflix and moved to, I think, Paramount Plus. Of this girl who, she died, and her spirit is it's a guy who's able to listen to her. It's called School Spirits. That's what it's called. Oh, School Spirits. It's called School Spirits. So that was the perfect representation of what I experienced. It was School Spirits, I felt like my spirit was outside of my body. Something else tried to come in, take over, and take me out. And in that moment too, after reading scriptures, I realized that I ended up making a covenant with the Lord. So a covenant is when my wife is gonna get mad at me for saying this, but this is the best way I could put it. It's like she's not gonna get mad at me. I was gonna say a promise, but it's a contract. A covenant is a contract. It could be verbal or written contract that you make with God, telling God, look, get me out of the situation. I promise I will do X, Y, Z. So I ended up making a covenant with God, telling him, look, if you get me out of the situation, I will never smoke again, or I will never do X, Y, Z again. I stayed true to that covenant. So, reading years later, I realized that's what I did, and I have not broken it, and I will not break it. So man. So those are the lessons from this experience, man. Goodness gracious. So yeah, man. Wife and I have been going 8 years strong, and we've been married 1 full year. So shoot, that deserves a whole lot of love for that, man. Ever since that incident, I went completely sober. Didn't do none of that foolishness because it was trying to take me out. So yeah, man. So that was the real second time that I came. That was the closest I could, well, almost That was the second closest time I came to death, but it was the most realist because it was trying to take over my spirit too. So, yeah, that was that. That was that. Now, the most recent one happened on Valentine's Day of 2023. Now, I was working deliveries, and I'm over here grinding to work delivery, so I could take my at the time fiance out on a date for Valentine's Day for date night. I'm doing deliveries. I just finished one of my last deliveries, and I'm backing out, bro. I'm backing out. And automatically when you backing out, you're automatically liable for whatever happens. I'm backing out. I see a cat jump off the porch. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I look back at my rear view mirror, and I'm continue to back out. So then I look over to my right. I see a car coming full speed, pushing in. We're in a residential area too. I'm backing out, coming, boom, smack the right side of my car so hard that it spins into another parked car. My neck is jolting all over the place. Airbags going up, poof, poof, poof. The smell of the car engine is just crazy inside the car. Smacked me hard. Bam, skirt. Hit this car. My car is flipped over or flipped to the side. Smacked that car, and her car, the whole front grill is busted and leaking. So I'm disoriented. I'm like, yo, what the heck happened? And keep in mind, I don't. If you haven't been in a car crash, for one, I wish that you never get into a car accident. In God's name, you won't. And for two, the impact sound of that was so loud. Now, this is something I never heard anybody talk about. Getting into a car accident, that impact sound while you're inside of the car is so loud. It makes your ears ring. That boom, that impact of the car coming at that speed against your car is one of the loudest sounds, like, period. So along with that, all the airbags fluffed up, and my neck, I had a neck injury at the back of my neck for like 6 months because of the impact of how fast she was going down a residential street, bro, pushing like 35, 40 down a residential street because, listen, this thing that she said was the most outlandish thing she told me, bro. I'm gonna get to that in a bit. So I hop on my car. I'm confused, disoriented, and I walk on the sidewalk, and I look, and I see my car is it got hit so hard that it smacked into this other car sideways. And I'm looking at everything. I'm just looking at the scene. I almost feel like I was in slow motion. I'm holding my head. I have a headache. And I look over, and I see the girl pull over. I'm like, okay, thank the Lord. Thank the Lord she pulled over, because some people hit and run and dip. So she pulled over. Some girl that looked like she's kind of drugged up. Like, she looked like she could be a druggie, but she wasn't under the influence. But she just looked like she was one of those type people. Her hair was all loose, kind of shaggy, and she had like dark eyeliner on. And then she came out. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" I'm just like, "Look, I'm good. I'm good." And I was like, "What happened?" And then now I'm getting pissed off, because now I'm starting to come to my senses, and I'm starting to see all the damage that was caused. And she's like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Why were you speeding?" She's like, "I'm so sorry. No, I got distracted by that cat. It was a cat that came out, and I didn't know if it was gonna run into the street," which it ran in front of the cars that were parked. Now, with that, I heard that you can get away with that excuse when you're driving. If you get into a car accident, you get away with the excuse that you were got into a car accident to not hit a live animal. I heard that was a thing. So that was already her excuse. So I was just pissed off. So then I ended up getting on a call with my wife, or my fiance at the time. I'm like, "Yeah, babe, I got into a bad car accident. I can't drive." And now she's panicking. She's like, "Oh my gosh, oh, what do you want me to do? What do you want?" I'm like, "No, calm down. I'm good. I'm here. I'm not injured. It's just my car is totaled. The whole back rear axle and the wheel is dented in, tough, hard. I can't drive it." So she's like, "Oh my gosh, what do you want me to do?" I was like, "Can you come through and can you pick me up?" So she's on her way, or she's leaving to be on her way. She called off work. And keep in mind, this is at like 10 in the morning, like 10:30. So I ended up calling AAA to come get my car, and then me and the girl exchanged information. I took pictures of her license plate, and vice versa. And then the other person who I delivered to, unfortunately, was a car that got my car smacked into. So she's pissed off, and plus, like, bro, look at this, bro. The color of my skin, the color of her skin was opposite, and the color of the other person's skin who hit me was opposite too. So now she's looking at me, asking me what happened, what did you do? I'm like, I was backing out, I wasn't even trying to engage in anything. Now looking back on it, I'm getting pissed off now. But looking, she went straight to me, asking me what the hell happened. Why is my car hitting her car? What happened? Pissed off at me. Rightfully so, I'll be pissed off too. But the fact that she targeted me, and then for the other girl to have to kind of de-escalate the situation, saying it was her fault, she was like, okay, well, y'all need to pay for this type stuff. Looking back on it, it's starting to piss me off. But anyways, and I'm calling AAA. They end up coming, put my car on, the flatbed, and we exchange information. I exchange information with the girl, and I'm calling our insurance companies. And keep in mind, look, when I got her information, she was barely driving for 2 years, bro. 2 years barely driving. I was driving for going on 6 years. So I'm like, yo, it's no way I got hit by somebody that was born after. No disrespect to y'all, but born like this late in the game. You know what I'm saying? You barely got your license. It said a year and a half ago. So for me to get, I was just pissed, bro. I was pissed. So, and I seen that she got her license during COVID, which is like, nobody was really doing no, you know what I'm saying? She probably got that by a fluke. So I'm over getting pissed off. And, car getting towed. I was able to get a ride with the driver, so I'm calling my wife that she didn't have to pick me up. She's like, you sure? And I'm going to the house. We're going to meet at the house. I'm pissed off because now, we're not able to go on a date. I almost lost my life. Like, if it was any harder, thank the Lord that, nothing bad really happened. And if I would have backed out even further, my car would have got flipped over possibly because she was going so damn fast down that residential street. So I was just thankful to God. We're just thankful to God that I didn't lose my life that day. Because it could have been way worse. And we didn't do anything that Valentine's Day. We just laid in bed. I know that, well, we both were pissed off. My wife and I. It just almost ruined everything. So, but luckily, I survived. And the angels of the Lord is most definitely working, man. So those were the stories, or that was the story of how I almost lost my life for the third time. Hopefully there will not be any more. I'm just thankful to God that I'm still here. Strengthen my faith, man. And I know I'm here for a reason, a greater reason. Maybe just the story alone probably helps somebody in ways that I don't know. So I know I'm here for a reason. I'm going to act on that every single day, man, and make sure that I make somebody else's life better from my experiences or even from things I can teach, man. So, shout outs to the Lord for helping your boy out by sending his angels to protect me, because I'm here for a reason, man, and so are you. So yeah, those were all the stories of how I had my encounters with death. Sounds like a crazy topic, but it's being told so that we can celebrate the life that we have, man. Things aren't as bad as it seems, especially when you have these close encounters, dog. Like for real. So, man, shout outs to God, man. Shout outs to the Lord. So, yeah, those are the stories. If you haven't already, check out my website. All the links in the description. If you want a private one-on-one Adobe Creative Cloud training, where I train you all things in the Adobe Creative Cloud, be sure to hit the link in the description. You get a free 30-minute lesson exclusively with the link in this description. So feel free to sign up with the discount code. And if you are interested in just learning as you go, learning how to edit and learning how to Photoshop, learn how to do all that stuff in Lightroom Classic, photo editing, be sure to go to yashfakhan.com/Yak Academia, where you get 30 days free. And along with that subscription, you get all sound effects, music, green screen effects, transitions, and everything that you need in order to get your foot in the door with editing. Makes it so easy. And plus, I'll hand guide you through from beginner to pro on how to edit, on how to color correct, on how to fix up your photos. If you love to take photos, you could go from beginner to pro. It's completely structured for you. So I hope you enjoyed this type of video. I love telling stories. I love having these story times. And yeah, my goal is to become one of the greatest speakers, period. You know, I feel like speaking is something that I need to work on. So that's why we're doing this too. Knocking out 3 birds, 1 stone. You know what I'm saying? I learn a new story. If y'all want to join any of my trainings, y'all can. And your boy's learning how to speak just that much more better. All right, so I'm out of here. I gotta call wifey back. I told her 2 minutes and it's been about like 20. But we out of here, man. It's Yak. I love y'all. Make sure y'all like, subscribe this video, and I'll be catching y'all on the next live or the next video, whatever it is that we doing. So man, love y'all. We out.